On October 5, 4 people were killed by Russian bombardments in Donetsk region and 3 were injured. In Sviatohirsk and Liman, bodies of 10 people were discovered who had been murdered by the Russian militants during the occupation, said Pavlo Kyrylenko, the head of the Donetsk Regional Military Administration. Another 10 civilians killed by Russians during the occupation were found in the recently liberated towns, namely 5 in Sviatohirsk and 5 in Liman. Shells killed 3 in Torske and 1 in Zaporizhzhia. Over October 5, the Russian forces shelled 13 municipalities in Donetsk region. The injured people include a 14-year-old child, reports the Donetsk Regional Police. As a consequence of the missile attack on Zaporizhzhia, Limanska Hromada, a child born in 2008 was wounded, the report says. Donetsk suffered artillery strikes that damaged 2 apartment buildings, 7 cottages, a workshop and the railway. Under fire also came Avdiivka, Bakhmut, Soledar, Chasiv Yar, Ostre, Tonenke, Zaporizhzhia, Klishchiivka, Novy Komar, Novoalexandrivka, Torske and Shevchenko. Grain storage, agricultural machines, utility structures and civil vehicles, the police added. At about 5 a.m. on October 6, the Russian troops carried out missile strikes on Zaporizhzhia. They hit residential houses, said Alexander Staruch, the head of the Zaporizhzhia Regional Military Administration. According to Mr. Staruch, 1 woman was killed and the death of the other person was not confirmed. The doctors managed to save them. 7 people were injured, including a child aged 3. As of now, 21 persons have been rescued. The rescue operation continues. The enemy strikes caused fire in the city. Residential buildings were damaged. We still do not know the exact number of victims. The rescuers are working on the site, Mr. Staruch wrote. Anatoly Kurtiev, secretary of the Zaporizhzhia City Council, reported that close 7 missiles were launched on the city. They hit regular high-rises, where peaceful people were sleeping in their apartments. Entire stairwells were ruined. Some people are blocked under the debris. The rescuers are working on the sites. The missile attacks on the Zaporizhzhia cottage area destroyed 2 houses to the ground. As Suspilne correspondents report, the exact number of damaged households is yet to be ascertained. All special services are working at the scene. Russian military struck an infrastructure facility in Kharkiv's Osnovyansky district on the night of October 6, said Kharkiv Mayor Igor Terehov. The explosion thundered at about 3 a.m. The strike caused a fire. Information about victims has been specified. The Russians hit industrial facilities in Osnovyansky district with kamikaze drones. Such an early report was made by Oleg Sinehubov, the head of the Kharkiv Regional Military Administration. Fires broke out. Non-residential buildings were partially ruined. No casualties, he posted. The prosecutor's office is investigating the Kharkiv shelling as a violation of laws and customs of war. The attack caused a fire on the area of 500 square meters. A service premises and the roof of a 4-story non-residential building was damaged, the message says. Over the past day, the Russians kept shelling Kupiansky, Vovchansky, Bohodukhivsky and Kharkivsky districts. Over the 24 hours, 3 men were hospitalized in the region who had been injured by shellings in Kupiansky district, Mr. Sinehubov added. In the occupied Borova Hromada in the village of Novoplatonivka, investigators discovered the bodies of 2 men bound by shackles. One of the dead had a fracture of the left temporal area, the other had a gunshot wound to the skull. The bodies of the men were lying in a 4-meter deep pit on the territory of the recreation center, where Russian special unit was situated during the occupation of the Hromada, the Kharkiv Regional Prosecutor's Office reported. According to preliminary data, the men were killed by the Russian Special Forces, which during the occupation of the settlement were stationed at the specified base, consisting of 250-350 people with periodic rotation, the prosecutor's office informed. According to the police of the Kharkiv region, the age of the dead is approximately 30 to 35 years old. They were dressed in civilian clothes. It has been established who the perished people were. Serhiy Bolvinov, the head of the investigative department of the police in Kharkiv region, announced during a briefing that the police of the Kharkiv region found the bodies of 534 civilians in the liberated territories of the region. 226 of them are women, 260 are men, 19 are children, 13 of which gender is not established. He also noted that this figure was announced, taking into account 447 bodies from the mass burial site in Izum. Valentin Reznichenko, the head of Dnipropetrovsk Regional Military Administration, announced in his telegram that on the night of October 6, Russian troops shelled Nikopolsk district of Dnipropetrovsk region 5 times with rocket launchers and heavy artillery, causing destruction. According to him, a dozen private houses, an enterprise and power lines were damaged in Nikopol. Several private houses and farm buildings were mutilated in Mirove Hromada. In Marhanets Hromada, the survey of the territory is ongoing. The extent of the destruction has been clarified. There are no dead or injured.